views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey, welcome everybody of the Dr. Bob Lee. Welcome to Open BXRX. Coming up on today's show, it's another goodie. It's going to be a fantastic show. You got to check it out. We'll speak to a returning guest who will provide some perspective on what he saw from the 2020 Emmys. Then we'll speak to a representative and learn about the work that his organization is doing with schools and the officials during this pandemic. Plus, we'll learn about what one organization is doing to keep teachers, parents, and students safe as school reopens. After that, Bobby C. has the latest in the world of sports. And then we'll speak to a representative who will discuss what his organization is doing to empower Black young men. Stay tuned. All this and more is headed your way because we are now open for business. Hey, how are you? Good morning, everybody of the Dr. Bob Lee. Our first guest is a film reviewer who's right on. He's the host of the Let's Review podcast, and he rejoins us to recap last week's Emmys. I mean, when we were talking to him before, he was like, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is this and that. He was right on point. So we welcome him back. Adam McPartland, how are you? How you feeling?
Good. It's always good to have it on record. I said and then be right.
I was gonna maybe tap you for, you know anything about the lottery? I can any numbers I can know?
I wish, man.
Yeah. But that was good. That was right on, man. Give us a recap.
In actuality, the comedy show Schitt's Creek won every award that it was up for that night. First ever series to win all 7 awards that it was up for. All 7 awards and all 7 major awards. So comedy or drama to ever do that. So that was something special. First comedy series to win all 4 acting awards. And Dan Levy, the creator, is the first person to win for writing, directing, producing, and acting for the same show.
How big is that?
In one episode, in one series. Yeah, it's a big deal for a small series that got no recognition until season 5, and then its final season just cleans up everything. It's really something about it. Good for Canada.
Yeah, good name too.
Yeah, it really is. It's a fantastic name.
Yeah. What else have you seen?
Oh well, Succession won drama. That was what I figured would happen. I'm a big Ozark fan, so it was a little unfortunate for me, but I mean, you can't really ignore something as good as Succession. Julia Garner, Bronxite. She repeated. She's the 4th woman to repeat since the inception of since they split it up from supporting actress to guest actress.
Yeah.
So she's the 4th woman to repeat, and next year she gets a chance to go for a 3-peat, and only one other woman in history has done that. So that'll be, if she could be the second one, that'd be something.
What else did you see that you remembered? Any snubs or anything like that?
Yeah, so I wouldn't call it a snub. I'd say Zendaya winning Best Actress was an upset for sure. Not a bad thing. Upsets aren't always bad things. They're always fun to see. Yeah. I personally think Laura Linney should have won for Ozark, but good for Zendaya, youngest ever to win. She's been around since the kid TV show days, so it's a lot of fun to see someone in our age, another person aside from Julia Garner in our age group winning an Emmy. So that was fun.
Yeah. And you've been in this business for a little while, and you have your finger on everything that's happening in the business. So is there anything that we don't know about that we should know about that you would like to tell?
About television in general, or about the Emmys?
How about television in general?
Television in
What's
general.
coming up?
Okay.
What should we watch for?
Definitely Ozark season 4 when that comes out. That's going to be. I mean, after last season, the fact that Ozark probably came in second in the voting, they're gonna really push to win. They were up in the top 5, top 3, I think, of nominations of all programs last year. So that's something to watch for. The next season of that, the next season of Succession, whenever that comes out, they're gonna try to repeat as best drama series. And
of course,
after the way the last season ended, they're not going to disappoint either. It was a fantastic season finale. Certainly doesn't disappoint. Certainly did not disappoint, and I don't have any thoughts that it's going to regress in its third season. No. With comedy, next season's going to be a lot of fun. Schitt's Creek is done. The Good Place is done. So, in my personal, my favorite show out of all of them is What We Do in the Shadows. It's a comedy on FX, kind of like a mockumentary about vampires living in Staten Island.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely hilarious. And with Schitt's Creek and Good Place gone, What We Do in the Shadows could get the acting nominations it deserves and finally win writing and comedy series. So that would be something nice.
Hey, What We Do in the Shadows may come to light. So, what's your take? When are we gonna start eating popcorn and hot dogs and everything, and get a nice tall Coke and recline our seats back like this and watch a nice movie out of a movie theater?
Well, if you want to travel to Connecticut, you can do that at an AMC theater in Connecticut. There are a bunch of AMCs in Connecticut open, but in the Bronx, doesn't look like for a little while. Looks like probably. I mean, they're pushing back every movie that was supposed to be released. Death on the Nile got pushed back from October to December. All the Marvel movies got pushed back to mid to late 2021. Yeah. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if the movie I was talking about last time, Dune, based on the book, I wouldn't be shocked if that got pushed back from November, December to next year as well. There are so many places. California and New York are the 2 biggest places for movies, and nobody wants to go to a movie theater in either place. Yeah. So it's really hard when you're not in the 2 biggest markets in America.
Hey, Adam, thank you so much. You're like right on point with what you said was going to happen. Your recaps are great, and we love what you do. What's your website? Can we go somewhere to check you out?
Yeah, Spreaker.com and search for Let's Review, the Let's Review podcast.
Adam McPartland, Emmy recap guy. He's the film reviewer and the host of Let's Review podcast. Thank you for all your work, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. We'll take a break right here. I've got a whole lot more. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. We got you covered right here on Open.
A decade in the making, created in 1790 to allocate our U.S. population and economy, and every 10 years check-in determining our community residents and needs. Women Voices lead. Suffrage Centennial acknowledges another year of elections, while Women in the Heights artists celebrate their 10 years anniversary through Northern Manhattan Arts Alliance guidance to ensure Uptown is recorded through our census count is how we identify our community needs. Although we are living in a social distancing era, thanks to the worldwide internet, we now have the means to hear the popular voices. So don't be left out. Go to my2020census.gov and make sure to be counted.
welcome back, everybody. Our next guest is the Director of Staff of the United Federation of Teachers, and he joins us today to highlight the services that UFT offers. What they offer teachers. They do a lot of hard work, making sure our teachers are safe. And he works with the students and the parents during this pandemic also. Please welcome to the show, Anthony Harmon. Anthony, how are you?
Good, Bob, and thanks so much for having me on today.
We love the work that you guys are doing in our community. You've been doing it for some time. You and your boss, Mr. Malgro, and you got something. And school started with about 90,000 students, but you and your organization didn't want to really have the schools open up under those conditions until you knew for sure that teachers and parents and students were safe.
Mm-hmm. So. And that's exactly it, Bob. Let me just start by saying we here at the United Federation of Teachers have this wonderful working relationship with the parents of the children that we serve on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I often tell people that we as teachers, our working conditions are the children's learning conditions.
Yeah.
And that became paramount in our discussions with the Department of Education in the city of New York. I will tell you that we, when this pandemic first started, we were immediately in April, or as early as April, saying that we need to start planning for a reopening of schools when we saw that we would be closed for some time. So it took a long time for the city to come to the realization that, hey, we got to get this thing moving and we got to get this train going.
Yeah.
So what we found is that, in many situations, the city was unprepared to start the school system. So we, along with a partnership with the Principals Union, the Teachers Union, the Department of Education, we began to start planning in July, But we were pushing as early as April, but we can't force people to the table, right? So we can say that, come to the table, let's start discussing, because in a traditional year, as principals close out the year in March, April, May, they're also preparing to open the year in September. So things are going on simultaneously, right? So when we're at that process that, looks like we're going to be out for the remainder of that, that school year, we started pushing and started inquiring, when are we going to start having those conversations about a reopening of schools in September? Because we knew that it was going to be kind of crazy with everything that had to be, put into place. We had, on our list of demands that if we're going to return to these buildings have to be safe. There's going to have to be, certain safeguards in place, right? Enough, PPEs, which is the personal protective equipment, at the school, enough masks, and then what does that even look like, in terms of like the number of students that we have in the New York City public school student system. At that point, we had no idea how many students were going to be opting to go remote, how many kids are going to be on this blended model type thing where they were going to be in school 2 days a week, at home 3 days a week, the like it. So we really started to have some real deep conversations in terms of what is it going to look like. So at the beginning of the school year, the city wanted to start September 8th or September 9th or whatever date it was, for everybody to come back into the school system.
You guys said, hold up. Let's wait a minute. Hold on. We're not going back until everything is safe.
Absolutely. So when the city was saying that they're going to open up the schools, we started sending our people out. We had industrial hygienists train people to go out into the schools and to look to see if there's proper ventilations in some of these buildings and, what was going on, right? Was there proper airflow in some of the buildings? Did the buildings receive their electromagnetic static sprayers? I think that's what they're called.
Yeah.
Kills the virus, right, in the air. And so we sent people out, and where we found that those things weren't in place, we immediately put the Department of Education on notice that, hey, our people are not going to go back into these unsafe working conditions. Some of our teachers, that felt that the buildings weren't safe, and I'm sure you saw in the news, they reported to work, but they refused to go into the building, and they worked on a sidewalk, which speaks to the level of commitment to the students that they serve, right? and they did their planning or whatever that they needed to do, on the sidewalk. Not saying they weren't refusing to go to work, but they wanted to make sure that those buildings were safe.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. I mean, this is a matter of life and death. People they gotta go to work. They're frontline workers. Then they gotta go home and infect somebody if things are not right. So of course, teachers have to and parents have to do a temperature check with their children before they send them off to school every day.
Yes.
And do they have rapid testing in the schools right now?
So there's going to be something in place that's medical monitoring. So there's going to be testing throughout the city of New York on a monthly basis, beginning in October, where they're going to randomly select students and staff members to be tested. With the quick response, right? No week-long, waiting for your results. They should be between 24 and 48 hours that people should be hearing. The city has also instituted a track and tracing. So if someone is infected, then what is that pod of people that they were in close proximity to, and then putting them on notice and so forth. So those things are happening. It was slow in the beginning, but through the advocacy of the unions and the parents and the community at large, the city is moving. I will tell you that there was a lot of concerns. We initially, when they wanted to bring everybody back, and we had to slow that train down because we realized that things weren't, in place that that commitment that we had received from the city said that everything was going to be fixed, actually wasn't happening. It wasn't in place. So we had to slow that train down, and we're looking at now a phase-in process. So this week on Monday, we started with our District 75 students, and some of them, being the most needy children of our public school system, and those early childhood, the pre-K children. So there was a phase in this week, and I'm knocking on wood because there weren't a lot of problems this week. I'm knocking on wood, my fingers crossed, and I'm banking on my hopes and not my fears. At this particular point, that things continue to go on this road, but we heard from a lot of parents and a lot of parent advocacy groups, as did the city, saying that these children, particularly these District 75 students, who parents and who've come to rely on a lot of the services that our school system provides for their children, the occupational therapy, the physical therapy, the speech therapy, so they were lacking, in some cases, those services. So they needed to get their children, or they felt that they wanted to get their children back, into some sense of normalcy as possible. And I've gotten emails from all kind of parents that are saying, "Thank you for once putting District 75 parents, first. Thank you for the work you're doing in the advocacy, right? Because parents, they need, and the children, they need the services that some of them felt that they, the children had actually regressed because they hadn't been, in front of that person or in contact with that person that provided those related services that they desperately need."
Well, we desperately need you and your services from UFT, because you guys are standing in solidarity. That's what a union is supposed to do, back their people. And that's what you guys are doing, making sure everything is safe. And, we need you guys.
Absolutely. And we're here, Bob.
And if there's an uptick, you guys know exactly what to do.
Absolutely. So that was phase one. And then phase two, beginning on Tuesday, our K-8 schools and K-5, they will be starting on Tuesday, and we're looking at the exact same thing, right? And then on October 1st, the middle and high school students will start.
There you go. Anything we can do to help or assist or bring light to?
If we can continue to encourage the community to please wear their masks when they're in public, practice those things that the CDC is telling us, with proper hand washing, hand sanitizers, encourage people to wear their masks. I think, I just don't think people should just become so comfortable that, they think everything's okay at this moment. Let's still continue to use the guidelines that the CDC has identified in terms of, protecting ourselves, and not,
And I'm glad that we're doing those ventilation systems, because even before COVID, you see that black blown out on the ceiling, you needed to do something with that ventilation system. Right. So I'm glad they're working with that too. Well, listen, thank you for all that you guys are doing. Can we go to a website to find out more? You have everything posted up?
Thank you, Bob. If people wanted to visit the UFT website, that's www.uft.org. That's www.uft.org. They can go there, and we try to post as much information as possible. If parents wanted to see what the ventilations reports say, you know, about their particular schools, they can go to that school's individual website, and the ventilation reports should be posted there, and it tells you exactly what classrooms will be utilized and where work was done in the building. So the information is out there. But again, Bob, if we can just tell people just to please practice the guidelines of the CDC, and you know, do other things, fill out the census, and to vote.
30th, September 30th is the last day to fill out the census. And voting, very important. Everybody, get your whole family together, organize your community, make some sandwiches, get some drinks, and let's go and do what we have to do. I mean, I'm going in person because I want to see that thing say, all right, you have successfully voted.
So am I.
Anthony, thank you for all you do. Now, what's your current title? Because I know you're moving quickly through the ranks.
Well, my title here with the United Federation of Teachers, I'm the Director of Staff, but I hold other positions within the organization on both local, state, and national levels. So currently, I'm with the United Federation of Teachers and serving as Director of Staff, but I also serve as the Vice President with the American Federation of Teachers.
There you go. United Negro College Fund.
the NAACP.
NAACP.
I'm involved.
Well, thank you for all you do, man. We love you.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for keeping up the fight.
You got it. Anthony Harmon, we got it going on right here, UFT. He's the director. He's working with a lot of the people there of the United Federation of Teachers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We need you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll take a break. We've got more Open coming up next right here.
Hi, I'm Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., and I'm making sure that the Bronx counts is my priority. That's why I'm urging everyone to fill out the 2020 census. The 2020 census is important because it would allow for the federal government to determine how much money and resources the Bronx is going to need for the next 10 years around healthcare, education, housing, roads, representation, and so many other things. Now let's all get together and make the Bronx count.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee, and you're watching Open. You know, our next guest is a Chief Strategy Officer for North Central Jacobi and Bronx hospitals, and she joins us today to discuss their virtual back-to-school health fair. And it's going to be nice. They're really strategizing, and they're putting it all together. And we welcome to the show Cristina Contreras. How are you, Cristina?
Good. How are you? Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure, Bob.
So, are you kind of in the dark with this brand new virtual thing that everybody's doing for the first time?
I have to say it's a wonderful experience. It's a little bit of anxiety provoking, but it's very exciting at the same time. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Everybody's very excited about it. Yeah,
you just got to keep building out, put different pieces in it and make it, so when it comes out, it looks good.
I'm definitely learning a lot. Definitely learning a lot.
Yeah. So tell us about the work that you're doing with the New York City Health and Hospitals and the services that you guys offer.
Okay. New York City Health and Hospitals, as you know, is one of the largest public health systems in the United States. And we provide essential inpatient, outpatient, long-term, and home-based healthcare to more than 1.1 million residents in New York.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yes. And throughout 70 locations throughout all New York.
So you're servicing the 5 boroughs?
Yeah, the 5 boroughs, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have 11 acute hospitals. We have long-term facilities, a network of federal health qualified centers throughout New York. And we employ a diverse workforce that is basically focused on empowering New Yorkers and to keep them healthiest as possible.
Tell us about your work with North Central Bronx and Jacobi hospitals.
I've been working for the health system for about 25 years, more or less. At North Central Bronx, I've been here for like the last 12 years in different capacities. And throughout those years, we always had a very close relationship with Jacobi. Now, under my new role as the Chief Strategy Officer for both hospitals, I'm responsible for creating, implementing new strategies, new initiatives for both hospitals, new business plans, growth, and capital planning. So I'm very excited about that. I love what I do. I love to be able to engage the community. I'm looking forward to forging more partnerships with the community and bringing the hospital to the community. So I'm looking forward to that. And we serve a diverse community and empower them to be the best advocate for their own health.
Sounds good to me. What can people learn from this virtual health fair that you guys are putting together?
We're definitely preparing. We're trying to make sure that people have an opportunity to talk about COVID facts versus some of the fiction. We have a very qualified provider live available for people to ask questions. We're also going to have somebody for the Department of Education, a senior person to address some of the issues that the community might have. You know, these are difficult times, and a lot of the parents are still considering, debating whether they should send their kids a hybrid model, keep them at home, do remote learning. There's a lot of questions, and we are bringing in the perspective of the providers, pediatrician, doctors, and the Department of Education to be here and provide some sort of guidance and principles in terms of the protocols and how to keep the kids safe, whatever they decide to do.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we have to wade through the waters and try to get to some sort of normalcy. What are some of the biggest challenges facing teachers and school officials coming this fall?
Well, as you know, the teachers and school, they have a huge task at hand. It's not easy. They have to make sure that 1.1 million children in the city get back to school safe. The teachers, school officials truly have the best interest at heart for our kids. And I know they're working. I'm very confident of the direction of the mayor to make sure that the school system is safe. And as you know, the New York City school system is one of the largest in the country. So I'm very confident. I know that these are difficult times, but everybody wants the best for our kids and everybody's collaborating, working together. And this is where I felt that it would be significant to have the component of health, bringing health with the Department of Education, the community, all together. We all want the same things. Even if we don't agree on the methods, we still have to come together and have some information, some guidance.
Exacto. So people are going to go on, they're going to tune in. What date and time? Is it open to the public?
It's open to everyone. I encourage everyone to participate. It's going to be September 30th. And
September 30th.
September 30th. We're going to share the flyer. And can go, yes, absolutely. And you can go to https www.facebook.com/events and get the information and look up under events and see it's September 30th from 12 to 1. It's packed with a lot of great information, how to access healthcare, how to make an appointment, information about COVID testing, a lot of great information. Vaccine, we started the flu vaccine immunizations here, and how to reach some highlights for Jacobi, some highlights for NCB. It should be very interactive, and I'm looking forward to it. Plus, we're going to have a lot of raffles items for kids. Historically, for the back to school event, we have backpacks and some materials. Right now, we're trying to leverage technology. So we're going to have iPads. We're going to have Kindles for the kids to read. A lot of exciting giveaways. So everybody is definitely encouraged to register. And if you don't have insurance, there's going to be insurance information and eligibility that you can follow up with.
And that's the last day of the census too.
Yes. Perfect timing.
So how do we get our prizes?
Okay, so when you register, that's how you become eligible. It's one
There you
prize
go.
per registration. It's three simple questions. I believe it's your name, contact information, and your email, and whether you have insurance, yes or no. And
Yeah.
that's all you need to do. And everybody, during the event, we're gonna notify everyone that it's a winner. And we have to thank Metro Plus and Crawford. They donated everything for the giveaways. We have bikes. We're gonna have iPads, like I mentioned, Kindles, a lot of electronics to make the transition easier for the kids. And this different age range. It's for everyone.
Thank you so much. What's that website? How can we get the information where we can log on to the virtual?
You can definitely go to, and I can share the information. It's in the flyers, www.facebook.com/North Central Bronx page.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have my producers email that to me also, so I can help you out with it on the other side.
Yes, thank
right.
you.
There you go. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing with our youngsters and everything that you're doing in our neighborhood throughout the 5 boroughs. Stay safe. We got the North Central Bronx Hospital Back to School Virtual Fair coming up, and Cristina Contreras. She's the chief strategy officer for North Central Bronx and Jacobi Hospital. I just can't thank you enough for all the work that you do, and keep doing your best.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Bob. Thank you for giving me this opportunity and this forum.
We need you.
Thank you.
And come back again, okay?
Yes, please make sure that everybody logs in. It's going to be very exciting, and they're going to have giveaways for everyone. Thank you. And a lot of
Thank you,
information.
Cristina. Okay, talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
we'll take a break right here. We got more open on the way. Next.
It looks bleak. It feels bleak. But the city isn't shut down because our public services keep working. In spite of, and in the face of, the dangers, we can count on them. And to keep them working and funded now and in the future, we need to be counted. Self-respond now to the 2020 census at my2020census.gov.
Last time out, we caught up with ESPN's Marley Rivera. Here's part 2 of our interview. As a pioneer yourself, only the second woman on this Yankee beat. What does it mean to you to be, basically trying to make significant inroads in that regard?
Second woman of color, 3 women. We got to. So it's like second woman of color after Claire Smith. So certainly, I as you know, Bobby, I used to be on the Yankees beat, and then I became a national writer, and I sort of have a hybrid position now, kind of doing both. And it's been a true challenge. And what happens is that I thought that when I started 20 years ago, that you and I would have this conversation today and think that it had gotten better. And the problem is that it hasn't. We've had to adapt in a different. It doesn't mean acceptance is very different from being allowed to do something, right? The reason what Claire Smith and all these pioneering women, dealt with at one point was the fact they couldn't even come into the clubhouse, right? They were denied access to their place of work. Right now, we have plenty of access. The problem is the acceptance, right? We've seen it recently out there, with the vitriol and the comments again against women in sports. And it's a very difficult thing to do. And it's particularly difficult as a woman of color. We have a joke that we have all the strikes against us, right? It's like, it's every one of them, because you're not only a woman, you're a woman of color. And then you are, in a sport that is the biggest boys club, that exists in many ways. Some people say it's the NFL. I can guarantee you that it's not. I've covered them both. And Major League Baseball is a lot tighter in terms of welcoming, right, those voices in there. As we know, this year is the first time that we ever have a full-time coach in Alyssa Nacken with the San Francisco Giants. And there's still, to this day, even though there's plenty of qualified women, and we have played baseball for more than a century, there isn't a single woman who has been a general manager or assistant general manager of a team in baseball. So, we have a lot of places to go, and we still have a lot of ground to cover. And unfortunately, we have retroceded, and everything that we've seen with everything out there, it's getting worse. And I really didn't expect that to happen. So it's been a very difficult time to be on social media and have to handle quite a bit of the vitriol and the things that they say out there against women in sport.
Marley, as someone in my positions that works oftentimes with students, I say to them all the time, this country prides itself on quote unquote being progressive. And if anything, we really are not progressive. Just the idea, even the top of this conversation, to talk a little bit about politics, but to only have, recently have a woman running for the presidency, or, finally having a vice presidential candidate that is a woman of color too. I think it's amazing that, again, for a country that typically prides itself on being progressive, I think we are anything but.
Yeah, that's the problem. And it's one of those things. I feel that a lot of people will give you the line of, well, if you don't like it, leave, right? We've heard that a million times. And what I would like to extend to those people is that sometimes when you have pure discrimination that is in your face, it can be better because you can handle it. It's right there in front of you. You know how to attack it. But insidious discrimination and insidious, that is the worst one. The one that you think that all these people are on your team and they're champions for you, and behind their back, that's behind your back, pardon me, exactly that's not it. So that's even harder, right? And we understand that in terms of women in sport, who cover sport and journalism, the United States is, far, above any other country in the world. Let's be clear, that is the truth. Just by numbers, it exists, and actually, just being a very large country, so just by numbers, it also happens. But the acceptance of women in sport, it's been such an interesting kind of path for me, because Latin women have been seen in one way in sport, and that is certainly our fault, right? There's been a lot of women out there who have been put in positions where it's all about their looks and not about their knowledge. And that has been really prevalent in a lot of communities, but particularly in the Latin community, right? That is something that every time we see, you see a soccer game or you see this, you're not there to listen to the girl, you're there to look at how short her skirt is. And that is a huge problem that we have among Latino, sports fans, and it happens all the time. And it is an issue that we continue to deal with. So as a Latin woman who started covering sport, I needed to fight that stigma too. And it's one that is very difficult to fight. People think that you are in that clubhouse, husband hunting, which is the one that I've heard before, which is hilarious to me. And things like that, that they don't think that you are there just to do your job. And when I mention insidious, it means that fact with, okay, you're in here, but I have zero respect for you. And gaining respect in this business is the hardest thing to do.
Well, I definitely appreciate your passion and your perspective on these topics. I know definitely not easy topics for people to talk about. So.
I'll get in a little trouble, but I never shied away from that.
Before we let you go, I want to talk about more lighthearted stuff.
Let's do that.
Your perspective on the Yankees, and then also kind of the field for the postseason. I think this will be an interesting year. I think we've seen it in the NHL and the NBA now with some teams that were maybe expected to go to the championship rounds that did not get there. I know the Yankees have been hot of late, but your thoughts on the Bombers?
Well, I think the Yankees haven't proven yet that they are a consistent enough team that deserves to go to the World Series. Now, I'm going to be very fair to them and say, you know what, in this season, they have proven enough, right? This is one thing that is getting lost in this conversation, and I see it out there all the time in this blatant criticism of these guys, of kind of making fun of them, or you're a scrub and you're this and that. That offends me to the core. And people go, why? If he is a scrub, let's say in the case of Gary Sanchez, if he is hitting 100 and striking out 1,700 times, isn't he a scrub? And my answer to that is, you try playing professional baseball in a pandemic. Some people are handling a lot better than others. Some people are performing, incredibly, right? We see what Fernando Tatis and the San Diego Padres are doing. We see what the Los Angeles Dodgers are doing. We see what the White Sox and the Marlins have done, right? Even here in Toronto, what the Blue Jays are doing. I'm sorry, in Toronto. You see, this is what happens in Buffalo, what the Blue Jays are doing. The Yankees have not been consistent. It is a team that it depends, but the thing is, they are getting healthy. And they're getting hot at the right time. Garrett Cole had this great line. They asked him, Garrett, are you in mid-season form? And we're getting, right now to September. And he said, I hope not. And they're like, what? Because you never want to be in mid-season form. You want to be towards postseason form, right? And that's exactly what the Yankees have not shown. They have a week to prove right now that they're in postseason form. They really got to hold on to that home field advantage, because that is going to matter in this series, right? You just said it. It's a different thing this year with this 16 teams and with this play-in, 3-game series. It will matter to the Yankees. Just look at Luke Voigt's numbers at home and on the road. It's really pretty obvious. So the Yankees have to play better. And that's the only thing. When the pitching is working, the hitting is not working, that balance isn't really there. And they get kind of frazzled with teams that they can't control, right? Teams that are a little bit of a wild card, like the Blue Jays. Like, who are these people and who do they think they are? And don't they know that we are the New York Yankees? And us being the New York Yankees is not a good argument anymore.
Yeah, of course. You mentioned a few of the teams I thought actually might be right there to win the World Series. I think the Padres are a serious threat. I think it's ironic that the Marlins have had some problems with COVID-19, but they could end up being kind of a spoiler come the postseason. I like the Oakland Athletics winning the Western Division. Any of those teams aside from the Dodgers, do you think really could end up playing spoiler?
The problem is the pitching. I don't see any of those teams outside the Athletics and the Dodgers having enough arms to pull through. And that's the thing that it's going to matter, right? We look at the Marlins and we see what they're doing. We look at the Blue Jays and we see what they're doing. And then you look at their bullpen numbers. And even though the bullpen numbers for the Yankees are awful, if you really compare them, right, with that much talent, it doesn't, they're not awful if you see them at value. But if you compare them by talent, they are awful, right? Like this is one of the greatest group of arms in baseball. And that's the key. If you have one of the greatest group of arms in baseball, it's going to work at one point. It's really going to hurt you at some points, but it's going to benefit you. And I don't know that so many teams have that in their arsenal. I can see the Minnesota Twins having it, but if they find the Yankees in the playoffs, that's going to be very difficult for them, because we know how the Twins perform against the Yankees in the playoffs. We've seen it time and time again. It's historically, accurate that they've won whatever it is, over 10 games in a row over the Minnesota Twins, but it's about pitching, Bobby. So I don't think that a lot of those teams have enough pitching.
We appreciate you coming on, Marley. Always great to catch up and to talk to you, and best of luck with the playoffs.
Thank you for having me, Bobby. Thanks, Chris, for making us look good.
A decade in the making, created in 1790 to allocate our U.S. population and economy, and every 10 years check-in determining our community residents and needs. Women Voices lead. Suffrage Centennial acknowledges another year of elections, while Women in the Heights artists celebrate their 10 years anniversary through Northern Manhattan Arts Alliance guidance to ensure Uptown is recorded through our census count is how we identify our community needs. Although we are living in a social distancing era, thanks to the worldwide internet, we now have the means to hear the popular voices. So don't be left out. Go to my2020census.gov and make sure to be counted.
Welcome back. Our next guest is University Director of the CUNY Black Male Initiative, and he joins us to discuss the upcoming 15th Annual CUNY BMI Conference. It's going to be virtual, isn't it? Everything's virtual. We welcome Dr. Shawn C. Best. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here. Thank you, Bob Lee. I am so honored to be here. I've watched your work over the years, and I know you have had a huge impact on our community where I live in Harlem. And I'm so honored to be a part of this show today, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming and being a part of it. Thank you for all the stuff that you do.
My pleasure, man. It's y'all paved the ground for us to come behind and do this work. And so, now we have this boldness and audacity that came from the tracks that you laid down for us. And so I appreciate it. And I look forward to getting in this conversation and finding this intersection, because I know we have a lot in common with the work that we do.
Yes. So start telling us about some of the work that you're working on right now.
Well, the primary thing I'm working on right now is I work with the CUNY City University of New York Black Male Initiative. And really what we do is we provide a support network through mentorship academic support and socio-emotional support for about 4,000 students across the CUNY system. We are the only student development program that exists in every single CUNY college. And so you find us in all the senior colleges, the community colleges. We also support students who are getting their HSC or their GEDs. We also support students that are getting the medical degree. And we have one of the programs, for example, is Sophie Davis Medical School at City College, where we are actually supporting about 50 young Black men who are all in the pipeline to get their medical degrees at the same time with about a 96% success rate. And we have also students at the law school, including my assistant director, Jorge Alguera, who helps me run BMI, who is a 1L at CUNY Law. And so we're all over the place. We have a lot of programs, and it's a small farm of me and Jorge running this big old program, but we love the work.
I like it.
It's really advance the networks and opportunities for our young students to get workforce opportunities, as well as just bigger networks for beyond school when it's over.
Yeah, I was on a Zoom this morning with a company, and they were talking about they were looking for doctors. You said you have doctors in your program, and that this organization is willing to pay for doctors to move to the next level. So I'll share that information with you.
Please, please, we need that. Our young men are thirsty, they're hungry for opportunities. We know that equity for Black and brown communities means sharing opportunities like you're doing with me, so that we can all learn how we can advance together and eventually create, economic and social mobility for our communities. It's so important right now.
There you go. All right, tell us about the conference that's coming up. It's supposed to be all that in a bag of chips, you know that.
Well, this new world we live in, Dr. Lee, is crazy. We're all virtual now. So CUNY is 98% virtual. So we've decided to move the conference, which is typically held at a different campus in a different borough every year. Now we're doing it virtually for the first time. So instead of a one-day conference, it's now a two-day conference on October 1st and October 2nd. We are hosting our 15th annual CUNY BMI conference entitled The State of the Young Black Male in New York City.
I like it.
Yeah, man. We have partners that are across the board in New York City that help us do this work, who we support, and they support us. So we're featuring NYC Men Teach, My Brother's Keeper, Young Men's Initiative. We're featuring a lot of local high schools and community-based organizations where we have pipelines of students that come right to CUNY and get involved in CUNY Black Male Initiative. We also have featured keynotes, Representative Hakeem Jeffries as our main keynote day one. And we're finalizing having Council Member Donovan Richards out of Queens, District 31.
All right.
For day two. We have a featured panel on day one. That is, we have two concurrent panels every morning and afternoon for the 2 days. But one of the afternoons, the first day, is a featured panel with led by Adriana Espaillat, Jamal Bowman, Mondaire Jones, Melissa Mark Viverito. We have an incredible talent pool that's going to be there talking about issues that affect us when it comes to the pandemic, when it comes to the election, when it comes to COVID-19, when it comes to home and housing and food insecurities. And so we're talking about so many issues that affect young Black males at CUNY and also in New York City that we're hoping to now broaden the network so that we can share resources, be smarter about how we approach addressing these problems and issues in our communities. And at the end of the day, moving the needle, once again, for our young men to have opportunities to have more careers, access to mentors that are going to be with them not only through school, but throughout life. If I could have to do it all over again, I would have had a mentor right out of the gate in college, but I didn't.
Right out of the gate. Yeah.
Listen,
it's a big help, a mentor, somebody to look up to, somebody to help guide you in the right direction. That's all important, and I like that kind of work that you're doing. I don't mind partnering with the organization just like yours. Shawn, so you are star-studded. I mean, we have a number of guests that are coming in. The panels are like packed with great information. Who's going to be watching?
Yeah, so we have a great network of, first of all, the CUNY BMI family, which are faculty, staff, students from the CUNY system. We partner with about 50 to 60 different nonprofits throughout the country that also help support the work that we do. So we're going to have administrators, teachers, and also high school students who are going to be there. We make sure there's something for everyone at the conference to learn from. So our panels are geared toward either high school students, administrators, college students, or even beyond college. And so we kind of just organized it that way. We also have some supporters who are just educators who are doing the work in our community, who might be at nonprofits educating, who might be educating in different sort of non-higher educational platforms. And so we encourage everyone to come and join, be the part of the conference. We encourage everyone to register. If you go to cuny.edu/BMI, you will find our registration links and our conference information on the page. We also have a year-long campaign called the I Am BMI campaign, where we're encouraging people to give and support. We have a $2.5 million grant from City Council every year that supports our work. But with COVID-19, we've taken some hits from that. And we've also had to deal with the fact that we've grown 8x in size since we've gotten that first $2.5 million. But we still get the same grant after 15 years. And we have over 4,000 students now supporting with that money. So we're asking for people to give, to participate, and to partner with us for a long-term relationship, ideally.
Yeah, well, you guys are doing great work in our community, you know, working with the edification of young minds and keeping it going like that for, you said 15 years?
15 years. I'm in year, I started 2012, so I'm in year 8 of working. I started as a project coordinator and then, you know, got to this position through some prayers and support. And I found a passion with this work. I did not realize, I'm a drummer in my heart. I'm a musician.
Yeah.
I realized that I could get paid for doing this work. So when I came into it as a coordinator, I was hot and I was like, let's do the work. And I wasn't even thinking about, you know, promotional opportunities, but I see that all the BMI directors have a similar passion, man. They want to help these students because they don't get paid what they deserve.
Absolutely. People are still dancing to the drummer's beat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is the heart. That is my heartbeat, is doing this work.
That's good. That's good. And I'll give you that information after we're done.
I appreciate that.
What website do we go to find out more about what you're doing and the upcoming events?
www.cuny.edu. So that's www.cuny.edu/BMI for Black Male Initiative. BMI.
There you go.
We'll find all information there.
It's about that time where we got apart, but we have to stay apart so we can come together. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking it out. Thank you for letting us share in this space and time with you. And always remember this, what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice and let your choice control the chooser. For all of us here at BronxNet, have a great and enjoyable day, and we'll catch you another day, another way. Of the Dr. Bob Lee, I'll see you on the radio, 107.5 WBLS. Peace.